Hey guys, I have tried to film this video. I think it's the fourth or fifth time. I keep getting calls, so let's get started. Today I want to do a video on things that I would repurchase if I didn't have them. So let's start with a few things. There's a few things that I thought really needed to be a part of this list because they are now what I consider free and paying me back pretty much the more I use them. It's not because there's money coming back in my account. I've already spent that money on that item, but I'm not purchasing something that I used to purchase. And in that way, I'm saving money every time that I use it. These little microfiber, I've tried the organic cotton, I've tried cotton round ones. I've tried a few before moving to these ones. I wasn't such a fan of the cotton. I love the fact that it's not microplastic. You know, these probably release little fibers of plastic every time I use them, every time I wash them. I did like that aspect that these have that the cotton ones don't have. However, the cotton, they would not last that long. So after 10 times that I would use them, they would get thinner in some areas. The stitching would come undone. These as well, you can see there's little wires, which I'm just gonna cut out. However, these have been washed more than 10 times, multiple times. They're very easy to get, and I think Garnier also makes one, which I have not tried yet, but if I do need to replace, I think I will try the Garnier one. I've heard good things about it. They come in a pack of like 2 or 3. It's not super expensive to buy one-use wipes. You get like usually a pack of 50, 100 for a few dollars. However, it does add up when these, you purchase them, you know, a pack of 10 for $12 and you keep on reusing them. After a year, it pretty much repays for itself. They are bigger, so I enjoy the fact that I don't need 5, 6 wipes to clean my face. Usually just applying water to this, I can remove most of my eyeshadow, and then I will add a little bit of micellar water. Because if I fill this up, of course, I'm going to use more product, but usually I pass with just water on these and they remove so much makeup without even using makeup remover. If you prefer using, you know, a regular face cloth and that works for you, you definitely don't need to go and splurge on these, but for me, they have been a game changer. Moving on to a personal hygiene product. So these, or this one is the Tampax, not sure the name of it, but it's pretty much the cup. So when you are at that time of the month, these have been a game changer. I started with the Diva Cup many years ago, which worked pretty good. There's 2 available sizes. I believe the first one is if you've never had kids, and the second one is after you have had kids. It's just a little bit bigger. These one, I believe, only come in the one size. They are a bit bigger. I find the Tampax one is bigger, but however, it did seal better, if that makes any sense. I was not a fan of this one for the removing aspect. It always would create this suction, even if when you remove it, you insert a finger to like let some air in so it doesn't create this suction. This one for me always would do the suction and was just very uncomfortable. But I've moved on to the Diva Cup, and the reason why I'm talking about these is because since I want to say I purchased my first one to now, I've maybe used in those 10 years 10 tampons, and it's just because I was somewhere that I didn't have any of these available, and now I've moved to the Diva Disc, which is the newer one that they came out. I just feel like it's easier to insert, it's easier to pull out. It just does the thing for me. I don't feel it at all during the day, which for me is very important. I don't want to feel like there is something there. And since then, I have been saving my money, and I think it's a good investment because even if they are a bit pricier, they're probably $40 when you purchase them. Sometimes they might be even more expensive depending on where you go. Places like Walmart and your pharmacy usually have once in a while a rebate of like 20%, 15%, which is usually when I got them or get them. And that way you get to try them. It doesn't mean that what works for me would work for you. If you're somebody that prefers, you know, pads over this, you might want to get reusable pad, whatever works for you. But this have been giving me back money in the way that I no longer purchase those items. I no longer purchase Tampax. I no longer purchase pads. And those are pretty expensive. I remember when I used to purchase them, they were $6.99, $7.99 a pack. So I wouldn't be surprised that now they're like $12, $13 a pack. Maybe not. But it's not only that. We just had like, I want to say less than a year ago, we've had all these recall and warnings, all these heavy metals in them. And I'm so happy that I've been using those for many years. So not only that, it's better for the environment. It's better in so many aspects. It doesn't mean that these will work for your body. If, like I said, you are somebody that prefer pads, that might be the route for you. If you're somebody that's very uncomfortable putting these in, then they might not be the right fit. However, for me, they have been a great investment and I would repurchase time and time again. Now, moving on to, again, something for the ladies, not judging if you want to use it and you are a man, but I've had this. This is my Silk Epil by Brown. I'm not sure how you pronounce this name. However, I've had this since I'm 16, since I've had to do my legs. I will put it away. It came with a bunch of accessories. It even has an electric shaver attachment that you can put on there to trim. I've used this on my legs since I'm 16. Some parts of my legs are now bald. And some parts it just hasn't changed anything. So some places it grows regularly and some places, like I said, has no hair. Because I've been doing this for so long and it made my hair what I would believe pretty weak, I've repurchased a one that is rechargeable that I use under my armpits. It's not something that's super comfortable. Some people might have ingrown with them. I know my sister tried it and it wasn't for her. My skin, I guess, is tougher on my legs and I've never had an issue with ingrowns with it. So I definitely love it. And it saves me money because I haven't had to use a shaver for my legs, and now that I've purchased the rechargeable one, which is by the same company, but there's plenty of good one out there. I think there's one for Panasonic. You find the one that you think would work best for you. If it is something you want to get, no pressure. And the electric one I can use under my armpit because it doesn't pull the skin. It rips them out in a gentler way, and I haven't had any issues with ingrown hair. I do still use a razor for those more intimate region, but for my underarm and now my legs, I no longer use them, which means I need to purchase blades for my shaver a lot less often. So it has saved me a lot of money and will continue to do so. Last thing that I feel like is making me save money is my spinning bike, and let me explain. So I do have a gym membership and I do have a spinning bike at home that I've purchased in 2020 for $300. I feel like I'm making money each time because before I would do spinning class and other classes which are even more expensive than just your regular go-in gym. You would need to go to an actual studio. Not every gym offers, you know, classes with a teacher And because of that, I would spend a lot of money for specific classes, which now I don't need. And yes, my gym does come with bikes and all that, but I live very far from my gym. So the only time I do use my gym is when I go to my partner, and then the gym is very close to his place. So I go there on the weekend. I use the gym on the weekend. During the weekday, I do my cardio at home. And I go to the gym to lift weights, and very, very rarely will I do some cardio. So I might do some Stairmaster a little bit because that's a very expensive machine, and I just like what it does for my glutes, and I like how it feels, and I like the quick workout and the quick burn that it does. So after 15-20 minutes is usually my max time on the Stairmaster. I'm working on it, on making that better. But all that to say that my bike now here, I use multiple times a week. I want to say minimum 3 times a week, other than if I'm not home. And it just has been amazing, and I've had it since 2020. So I made the calculation when I first got it. I broke it down by, I paid $300 the first time I use it. It's $300. Second time it's $150 dollars, then so on. Third time is $100, and I've broken down the cost to now it's less than $1, and pretty much now it's free, or it's been paid for. That money has been spent a long time ago, but I like to break down costs of things by the amount of time I use them. For example, I buy a book. If I read it just once, it's $25. If I read it twice, it makes it a certain amount. Same thing for a sweater, a coat, whatever you want to purchase. The more you use it, the more it adds value. You can buy something that you don't like, you wear it once, and then the value is the full price. Or you purchase something and it breaks down. You purchase something because it's just $1, but then you just use it once, and you could have purchased the same thing for $6, which would have lasted you a lifetime. You've actually lost money, in my mind. So all that to say, these are the things I would repurchase again, and I feel like I've made some money using, even though I have not. It's just there's value in there, and I'm saving actually each time that I use them. I'm saving on my Diva Cup every time I use it. I save on razor blades every time I use my little epilator. I'm saving on a spinning class every time I use my bicycle. And I am saving on cotton, non-reusable makeup removing pads. That was a long word. Every time I use these. So I hope this video was useful to you, and I will see you next time. Bye.